The World Cup's getting closer and closer and closer, and we are getting more and more excited. I think a lot of us, our excitement is growing because of all the content we're doing surrounding the World Cup. We have the World Cup edition coming out on Friday, which you can subscribe to right now and get the magazine issue straight to your inbox immediately as we launch it. There's a link if you click the I or in the description, and you will get the free subscription, all the issues, back issues, including the World Cup edition when we do launch it on Friday. So all of us are running around, we're interviewing different players, coaches, trying to give you some excellent insight into the World Cup and how to prepare for World Cup competitions. So I guess our World Cup content starts now and it starts today. We will be chatting about the World Cup today. We'll be chatting about matchups, specifically World Cup matchups. We're probably going to do a lot of these type of things going into the World Cup, probably putting players against each other, batters versus bowlers, and maybe we're going to compare different spinners and different speedsters against each other, and maybe different batsmen in different position, or batters, sorry, in different positions against each other. But today, we're going to be chatting to you about the captains. We've got the likes of Virat Kohli, Temba Bavuma, Aaron Finch, Owen Morgan, Baba Azam, Kane Williamson, Mohammad Nabi, Kieran Pollard, Tasun Shanaka, Mahamdullah Riyad, and Andrew Balbrini. So, Balbirnie, sorry. And we'll be talking about them and putting them up against each other and chatting about how they're going to compete. How are they going to talk about how are they going to compete against each other? How are they going to use what's available to them? How are they going to change their mentality or their strategies? What have we learned from them leading up to the series? We're going to talk about all of that, myself and Aja, on the show today. But before we get started, you know already that you have to subscribe to the Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly, but you also have to subscribe to this channel. Click that notification bell for all future videos. So let's get straight into today's episode. Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host Khalid Moiden. This is my co-host Aditya, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. Now, this is a little bit more in world cricket because we are going to be talking about captains and putting captains against each other. I think it's fitting though that we compare Temba Bavuma to a lot of the guys because obviously with the South African mindset, but I would like to get some insight from Aditya specifically about the other captains that are here. Now, for me personally, Aditya, when I talk about captaincies and I talk about captains, I think let's go ahead and look at the first fixture between South Africa and Australia, Temba Bavuma versus Aaron Finch. We know Aaron Finch has a mentality of attacking cricket, and Australians always have this ruthless mindset when it comes to games, etc. What I've been hearing from the Proteas camp is that the fearless mindset is also something that they've been trying to instill within them. And I feel that a lot of the players that we've spoken to, that a lot of the press conferences that we've listened to, there's a massive confidence and relaxation coming from the Proteas camp, a relaxed frame of mind and a relaxed mindset coming into this tournament that they back themselves 100%. But when we look at the captains of the year, besides now we're talking about Temba, we know that Temba is going to be under a lot of pressure in this World Cup. He's going to have a lot to prove. When you're looking at the captains over here, which ones are the ones that are going to stand out to you? I mean, first and foremost, I'm a big fan of Virat Kohli's captaincy. I love Owen Morgan, the way he thinks about the game. Kane Williamson, I'm a big fan of, as well as Baba Azam. So those are guys that I would say, would go into my top 5, top 6 if I'm going to pick. Let's talk about those matchups. Which captains do you feel are going to have a proper battle in this World Cup?
Look, the first game between South Africa and Australia is going to be huge. for both teams,
Mm.
because South Africa playing in an ICC tournament, they've had their fair share of struggles. With Temba getting injured at the wrong time, coming in without a whole lot of match practice. Adapting to conditions, particularly playing games in the day. That's going to be a huge challenge. And Australia had its fair share of struggles as well. Getting absolutely hammered in Bangladesh would not have been great for their confidence. And again, Aaron Finch is coming in without a lot of cricket behind him. He had a surgery recently, so he's
Mhm.
coming back from injury, and he's a captain, so his form is going to be crucial. But he's also coming in and playing in tough conditions, where he hasn't really performed in the past, because his record in last year's IPL wasn't great. He struggled. So I'm sure that will be playing in the back of his mind as well. Look, India versus Pakistan, that's going to be huge. So it's going to be a test of 22 players basically who are going to go all out to win the game for their countries. And I'm sure that expected viewership is going to be in the billions on the 24th of October. So you can imagine that the pressure is going to be immense. Uh, but there's the entire leadership group with Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma as vice captain. There's Ravi Shastri as coach, but we've also got MS Dhoni as mentor, and I think his influence is going to be
Yeah.
key. With Pakistan, again, I think Babar Azam and team have done really well in the recent past, and they're also coming off a fair bit of cricket because they have the national T20 competition going on right now. But with changes in the coaching management and with changes in the PCB as well, uh, we don't know how much stability there is in that camp. Uh, but either way, I think what's really exciting to me generally about captaincy in T20 cricket is captains who rely on data, on on matchups. Employing a certain bowler against a certain batsman, or certain
Mm.
field plays for a certain period of time. I think that sort of stuff is fascinating to me. And then there's also instinct, right? Like, to me, the king of like instinctive captaincy is MS Dhoni, because virtually every single player on record has said that for the last uh, 13 years since the IPL has started, MS Dhoni's team meetings don't last more than a minute. So I think he's the king of instinctive captaincy. But I think all in all, it's going to be a tough road ahead for all teams.
Mm. Isn't this also the last time that Virat Kohli is going to take the captaincy in T20 cricket
Yeah, yeah,
in this World Cup? So that's also a massive incentive from his part to want to lift it. Uh, to me personally, I just think that the IPL, with the amount of Indian players coming out of the IPL, getting all the experience in the UAE, I think they are walking into this tournament as favorites, in my opinion. I know it's not something that a lot of people might agree with, but I'm just looking at the way the English players have played in the IPL this time around. It hasn't necessarily been breathtaking. When you look at the South Africans, I think that the improvement is there. We've improved a lot over time, and a new captain in the World Cup. It's going to be a lot of pressure on Temba. Whereas you're going to turn to your older heads like Virat Kohli, Aaron Finch, Owen Morgan, Barbara Azam is the one for me that is going to be the outlier. I think he's going to be the dark horse in this tournament. As a batsman, he's so devastating. I mean, so you don't know what you're going to and he's very good at getting consistency. Once he gets on a roll, it's very difficult to stop him. So that's another one that we're going to be talking about. So the way I feel that the best team holistically is going to win this World Cup. I don't think that it's necessarily going to be able to be individuals that are going to take us. A lot of the times in T20 cricket, you're hoping for individual performance to take you through, and hopefully that you want to get. West Indies lost. They're the defending champions. The chances of them defending it, any World Cup or massive trophy, it's always difficult to defend. In many sports, they speak about that. In recent times, however, in a lot of sports as well, they teams are I think it's sports science and the data and the extra insight that they're getting now than they had before. Defending major trophies and defending major championships, have seemed to be a lot easier these days in this day and age than it used to be before. For example, you can look at the Champions League in football. I mean, with Real Madrid winning it like 4 times in 5 years, consecutive 3 times in a row, I think they won it, and that's like unheard of. People haven't heard of that happening in the Champions League since forever. So um, people can even tip some the World Cup teams in football to see that they can maybe defend it. Some people might think that some players can, some teams can defend it. Other than that, though, looking at the Cricket World Cup, I mean, Australia has been dominant. We know that they're the one guy, they are the one team that always in World Cup tournaments turn up. So I'm always wary about Australia because you don't know they have that extra bit of I don't know what it is, mental strength or what it is that changes their mentality and makes them always compete in World Cups and major trophies, no matter who's they're putting out on the field. So yeah, but let's talk about the West Indies because I think it should be mentioned. Kieran Pollard leading that side. Now, having looked at certain all rounders and the way they perform, especially these guys, you know, all rounders are the type of positions that, especially Kieran Pollard and the big hitters like Andre Lassell and them. It's particularly with the bat because bowling is about more consistency, and they seem to be getting relatively good consistency when it comes to bowling. But with the bat, the way they play is they might bat 5 times and 3 times it comes, or 2 times it comes off. The other 3 times maybe it doesn't. But that one time or the 2 times that they do perform, it wins them a game. So they're going to be very dangerous because you don't know where the runs are going to come from on the day. So the biggest challenge against the West Indies is if you get them 1 wicket, 2 wicket down early, and then you think that you're in the driving seat because that's going to take you into a different mindset. You can get them 3, 4 down and still lose the game. You can still lose the game. So I think complacency is going to have to be is the main thing in this tournament. We need to be teams have to be very careful. Captains have to be very very careful of complacency.
With the West Indies, I'm going to repeat what I said when we were reviewing the West Indies series, is that
Mm,
I think the West Indies T20 team, dangerous as it is still pretty one dimensional. They have one style of play and they're not a very adaptable team. So on tough wickets in the UAE, where fitness is going to be where their fitness is going to be challenged, where bowlers have now sort of figured out where to bowl to West Indian batsmen. Like in last year's IPL played in the UAE, Andre Russell did not click because bowlers had figured out he is that he has a weakness against the short ball. So they just every time Andre Russell came in, they bowled the short ball, and he wasn't able to rotate strike or find alternative ways of scoring, which I think is an underlying problem in the West Indies team. So they are a dangerous team, but I think they're dangerous. They're more dangerous on wickets that suit their style of play, as opposed to wickets that need a more adaptable approach. You know,
yeah.
so I think if South Africa can adapt to conditions a bit better against the West Indies, run hard between the wickets, hit off the loose deliveries, of course, uh, and then find a way to score runs or to
Mm,
take wickets, I think they'll be in a position to defeat the West Indies.
yeah. I mean, let's look at New Zealand. I think with their captain being in being in a right of form. He hasn't had the best of IPL seasons this season, but yet the overseas players, generally speaking, haven't necessarily hit the ground running with the bat this year as we normally see. Like Faf du Plessis, obviously miles ahead of everybody else, and unfortunately not in the side. But Glenn Maxwell on that list. Glenn Maxwell is going to be dangerous. He's going to be very dangerous against South Africa in that opening game. And you can see the difference between Glenn Maxwell and the rest of the overseas players. Moeen Ali has 320 runs compared to Glenn Maxwell's 513. So the massive gap between them is crazy. I mean, Kane Williamson, dangerous player, but he needs to come on form in this particular tournament, of course. Um, when it comes
He's
with the
also
bat,
recovering from injury though.
yeah, and he's
Have
also
you?
recovering from injury. So I feel that Kane Williamson is going to be so important to New Zealand's chances, but you never know with New Zealand. New Zealand has been in the last couple of knockout tournaments, they've always turned up. They have been turning up for quite some time now. So that's the thing that we need to look at. With regards to their bowlers, however, with regards to the guys that are going to be their all rounders and their bowlers, I think it's a it's maybe a different story with Lockie Ferguson coming in and bowling quickly, so quickly. So and I mean the experienced guys like Trent Bolt and the experienced guys like Saudi are so important, to any New Zealand time over the years. So I mean, if any bowler wants to look at how to be clinical at the death, I mean, you have to turn to someone like Bolt to see that. So, but yeah, I think there's quite a few dark horses in this tournament. I don't think that you can only name one. I think the likes of um, Pakistan could be a dark horse in this tournament. I think the likes of, I would say South Africa could even be a dark horse in this tournament based on their preparation leading into this World Cup. And I even think that the likes of Bangladesh with their new coaches and the setup over there and their insight into the rest of the world, having the likes of Ashwell Prince in the setup, having the likes of Russell Domingo, having the likes of Otis Gibson in the setup. It's all got to add some value to them. And I think that that's the thing that's going to be the decider is how do they approach it and the insight that they have from other countries. I think that's going to be very important with the Bangladesh team.
And they've also taken the Aussies and the Kiwis to the cleaners in their home series.
Yeah.
They've won comprehensively. So if Bangladesh can handle pressure well, which has been which has been their weak link over the last few years, uh, that will determine how far they go in this tournament.
So if you had to pick the way a captain should behave during this tournament, what would you like to see from a captaincy point of view, Aditya? Is it with, I feel personally that it's the way they handle their bowlers in this particular tournament is going to either win it for a team or not.
T20 captaincy is interesting. Uh,
Hmm.
I think over the years, my favorite T20 captain has to be MS Dhoni. I don't think world cricket in general has seen a better T20 captain than MSD. But he's gifted with an outstanding cricket game, a cricket brain, where he literally plays the game on the field. He doesn't sit with an analyst and devise strategies based on data and things like that. That setup just doesn't do it. But obviously, not all captains are like that. Faf du Plessis was an excellent T20 captain. He took the St. Lucia Kings to the final recently. So he's brilliant as well. But he's the exact opposite. He likes information. So it's different. But I think what will separate captains will be the bravery to defy conventional wisdom. I'll give you an
Yes.
example. I'll give you an example. If India and Australia are playing a game, right, and Virat Kohli comes into bat at number three, one would imagine that the wicket-taking options would be Stark, Hazelwood, or Cummins, right? Given their extraordinary record,
Mhm. Mhm.
that's what conventional wisdom would suggest. But if you look deeply into the statistics, it's probably best to bring on Adam Zampa at that point because early on in his innings, Virat Kohli struggles to pick wrist spinners. Now, he's good enough to counter it, obviously, but that's their best chance of getting him out early. So I do think that captains need to sort of study these things, particularly in high pressure tournaments. But then obviously it has to be coupled with a sense of instinct and a healthy mix of the two will be ideal. So I think Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma, for example, I think Rohit Sharma is the guy who likes info. He studies matchups. But Virat Kohli is more instinctive. So I think that balance as captain and vice captain will work very well for India. Uh, yeah,
Yeah, looking at South Africa again, I feel that there are quite a few leaders in the team, though. I know people are
yeah,
looking at it and saying it's inexperience, but I think there are quite a few leaders from a performance point of view in that team. Guys that I think South Africa need a different type of leadership actually, and I think they need the the ability to be able to keep the energy high and also stay calm under pressure is going to be so key. So the likes of Dwayne Pretorius in that side, Rassie van der Dussen in that side, Quentin de Kock, um, KG Rabada, those guys are going to be so important, I feel, because they generally are quite level headed when they're under pressure. Now, Quinny is a type of player that he's just going to go out and play his game, no matter what the pressure is, no matter what the situation is. If he's feeling good on the day, he's most likely going to score runs. And I'm happy that he's going into this tournament maybe with a little bit less runs under his belt than usual from the IPL. So I'm actually happy that he's going into this tournament because he's now going to be hungry than ever to score runs. And I think we need Quinny to be on form. And the way South Africa utilize our bowlers is going to make the difference. I want to see smart choices and brave choices from Temba Bavuma when it comes to picking certain bowlers and allowing them to play and when to bowl and when not to bowl. So I'm going to be very, very, very interested in to see how this tournament pans out. I think it's one of the tournaments where we can agree that it's going to be an open tournament. I don't think that we can say that anybody can just run away with it. I think under the circumstances that everybody's been under, but with bubbles and with quarantine and with COVID and having playing the IPL and playing so much cricket as well in this times and being from bubble to bubble, I think anything can happen on the day, and that's going to make this tournament very, very exciting. Guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to smash the like button. Don't forget to comment on this particular video, but also download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics Magazine and become a subscriber for free. The link is on the screen or in the description. On the top right of the screen, there's an eye. You click on that one and you go straight to it, or go to the description, and that's where you'll find it. And it's every single issue, every back issue. We're doing a World Cup edition currently, looking at how to prepare for World Cup tournaments and how the Proteas are thinking about their preparation and how the preparation has gone before this World Cup. So, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow with another daily show. Take care, everybody.